We looked at how to put data into Calc and whether it was a label data or value data. Now let's begin to work with the value data that we've entered by performing calculations. Calculations are performed using formulas. A formula is just an instruction to the spreadsheet that says how you want the math to be performed. You put that instruction or formula into the cell where you want the answer to appear. And as you put those instructions into that cell, you should always refer to cell addresses, never to values. Well, let me rephrase that. Almost never to values within cells. The importance of that is that if you should need to go in and update the underlying values, then the answers change in response to that change. If you use the values, you don't get that flowing forward change happening. As you enter a formula, you begin with an equal sign. To specify the arithmetic operations, you use the plus and minus keys to add and subtract. You find the plus and minus keys either on the 10 key pad at the left of your keyboard, or the shift equals for plus, and just use the hyphen next to the 0 for the minus. To multiply, use the asterisk, that's shift 8, or you can find it on your 10 key pad, and you use the slash next to the left shift key to divide, or the slash key on your 10 key pad. Let's look at Calc and see how that works. On the screen, you see a simple spreadsheet that's going to calculate gross pay and net pay for 3 unnamed employees. As you can see, we have the hours worked and the hourly pay. The gross pay will be calculated by multiplying the hours worked times the hourly pay. So we're going to begin by typing an equal sign into the spreadsheet. And then I'm going to point, using my mouse, to the first cell I want to calculate on. I'm going to point to the hours worked. And you'll see that the cell reference that refers to the hours worked, which is B2, appears in the cell that I'm calculating in. Now I'm going to type the symbol for multiplication, the asterisk, and then click on the cell that contains the multiplier. So that's C2. Now my formula says equals, that indicates formula coming, B2, the cell where the hours worked is found, times C2, the cell where the hourly pay is worked. And pressing enter gives me the gross pay for this employee. 24 hours at $12.50 gives you $300. We're going to calculate taxes on a flat percentage. That's really not the way taxes work, but for the purposes of this illustration, it's a useful illustration. So again, equals to start the formula. And we're going to say that gross pay is multiplied by the percent of taxation. We'll call it 8%. And you just type the 8% into the formula. This is one of those rare occasions where you actually type the number into the formula. And pressing enter gives us the taxes due on that net pay. That is 8% of $300. Remember from elementary school that of in arithmetic is the same as multiply. Notice that the 8% that we put into the formula has been translated into 0.08 in the formula bar, because that's the underpinning arithmetic. But thankfully, we don't have to worry about that. Calc will do that for us. And finally, we'll calculate the net pay. The net pay is simply the gross pay minus the taxes. So once again, equals to start the formula. Click on the cell containing the gross pay. Type a minus sign. Click on the cell containing the taxes and press enter. And that's as simple as it needs to be. Notice when you click on a cell containing a formula, the 300, the answer, is displayed in the cell, but the underlying formula is displayed in the formula bar. So this is the hours worked cell times the hourly pay cell. This is the gross pay cell times 8%. And this is the gross pay cell minus the taxes due cell. In the preceding example, we worked with formulas referring to single cells. Quite often, though, you will need to refer to a group of cells in a formula. A group of two or more adjacent cells, or touching cells, are called ranges. Let's have a little look at how that might work. If we wanted to add up the total amount of hours worked, we could use a very simple little function called sum equals sum. What the sum function does is it adds up all the numbers in a given range. Now I'm just going to point to the first number in the range, and holding the mouse key down, I'm going to drag over the range of numbers I want to add up, and close the parenthesis and press enter. And we see that the employees worked a total of 76 hours this week, and we added them up by using the equals sum function, and then within the parenthesis, which is technically called the argument of the function, we have the range B2 through B4. A function is simply an automated formula. We could have done equals B2 plus B3 plus B4. That would have worked. But if you have a range of 25 cells, this is a great deal faster. So the range is just the group of adjacent or touching cells, and you'll notice it's delineated by the first cell coordinate, then a colon, and then the last cell coordinate in the range. I just want to show you one small extra feature before we wrap up this introductory video, and that's the AutoSum feature. AutoSum is a feature that automatically adds up all the numbers in a range. As you can see, it's not very tricky to do it quote-unquote manually using the sum function, but AutoSum is even easier. How about if I show you? Let's click in the hourly pay totals row and total the hourly pay by using the AutoSum feature. This symbol is AutoSum in all spreadsheets. It's found in various places. In Calc, it's right here. If you're using Excel, it's up on the standard toolbar. So let me click the sum button. As you can see, this AutoSum function looks at the numbers surrounding the cell and decides where you probably want to add. And when we look at this, we see that AutoSum has figured it out beautifully. That's exactly the numbers we want to add. I also want to show you another way to confirm the entry into a cell. Normally I click enter, but you can also use this green accept button. If you decide you're halfway through a formula and it's just not going right, you can bail from that formula in two ways. You can click this cancel key here, or you can press escape. Let me try that. Let me click the cancel key for you, and you'll see we stop. AutoSum, and now we'll say accept. And there's our total.